Okay, so we have three topics to talk about today's session. We have the Agile team roles, we have the capacity planning, and also we have the capacity planning, estimation, and the burn down chart. Okay, so the capacity planning video was shared on your community earlier on today. How many people were able to watch the video? Let's do that with a show of hands. Anyone? How many of us are able to do that?
I wanted to ask, what of those that watched half?
At least you
I
still
don't-
watch something. You have better knowledge than somebody that didn't have at all. Because with that, we'll be able to do more of a workshop rather than doing the training, and then we don't have enough time, to go into workshop where we're able to share knowledge, or this is what I understand based on what this is part I don't understand, and then we get clarity on all that. So we have just about 3 people who have watched the video. Okay, so that's fine. Because capacity is quite encompassing, and that was why if you look at the timeline on the video you watch, it was a 2 hours. So if we have the whole 2 hours to do 3 topics, and one of the topic is that much already, so it would really be we'll try and manage our time. So what we will do is just to kind of paraphrase on what we have tonight. Videos will be posted, okay? So even if tonight you didn't catch everything, the most important thing is to have the main thing, to have the main knowledge of what we're talking about. And then by the time you watch the video, you're able to relate and align it together. Okay, so this is what we discussed during the session, the workshop session, and this is what he's saying in the video. You have a better understanding. So either you watch the video prior to us having it, or you didn't watch the video, you watch the video later on. It's still knowledge shared on both sides. Okay, so we're going to do the team roles is going to be basically workshop. Okay, we're going to talk through it. We're going to start with your role, okay, as a scrum master, and let's do it in an orderly fashion so that it's not rowdy. Okay, so when we ask a question and you want to answer based on the question that has been asked, we do that with a show of hand, and then you're able to unmute, and then we'll ask you to answer the question. Okay, so is that okay for us to take it that way? Yeah? Okay.
It's fine.
All right. Thanks for that. Okay, so bear with me, please. Just want to quickly sort something out. Okay, so what we're going to do in line with that is let's start with our own role as a Scrum Master. With a show of hands. Anyone wants to tell me what a team is? Let's start with a team. What is a team? And then we'll now talk about who makes up a team, and then the role they carry out in a team. Okay, is it okay for us to take it that way? Okay, so anyone? Show of hands? Anyone? What do you think a team is? All right, Martha.
I can try. A team is a group of persons or people who have a common goal and share the same values.
Okay. Thanks for that. So, Joy, could you mute, please? Please, if you're not talking, let's stay muted because of the recording. Okay, we've already shared these ground rules from Monday. Okay, so let's get used to them by now. All right. Thank you. So thank you, Martha, for that. Martha said a team is a group of people that come together for a particular purpose because they share a goal, and they need to implement the goal that they have. They need to carry out a particular goal. Okay, so that is a team. And they have to carry out that goal in a specified time. Within a specified time, they need to carry out that goal. That is a team. That's a layman's term, okay, of who a team is. Okay, so I'm not sure, it can be Martha still taking it, and then it can be or somebody else still taking it. What would you say an agile team is? because the first one you explained is just a team. So who wants to tell us what an agile team is? Anyone? Maybe we should start by saying what is agile first before we go into an agile team. Let's start with what is agile itself first. Delphine, you want to give it a go? What agile means?
Yeah, I'll try.
Okay.
Agile refers to a system of working whereby to solve complex problems. It's a framework where things are done without a static plan, like in the waterfall way of project management. And it is made up of a team of people with different expertise and skill to execute a project within a time box.
Okay, you're done.
Yes, I'm done.
All right. Thank you so much, Delphine. Thank you. Yeah, you made mention of the important points of an agile, of what agile is. Okay. Somebody else wants to try? Victoria, you have your hands up. Hello, Victoria.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm here.
Go
Sorry, I
ahead.
was just trying to unmute myself. So I did read the Scrum Master framework, and it advised the Agile project management uses short developmental cycles called sprints that results in continuous improvements of product or service. So I
Are
know
you
that
reading it
Scrum
from
is
Google?
no, not Google. I read the no, I think it's from you guys actually. Is it from you guys? So
Okay.
I've read the Scrum Master framework. I'm
Okay.
currently reading it, and I
Okay.
think this interpretation is probably from your team, from day zero, I think actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wrote some notes down.
All right.
So
Okay.
it
Thank
uses
you.
short developmental cycles called sprint.
Okay. Thanks for that. Emmanuel. Thank you, Victoria. Emmanuel. Emmanuel. We can't, you're muted, so we can't hear you if you're talking. Let's be quick about it. Okay, Vivian, while we're waiting for Emmanuel to unmute, Vivian, you can go on.
Agile is an iterative method of managing a project which enables the team to deliver value to customers in with less obstacles at a faster rate.
Well done. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Emmanuel, do you still want to go before? Okay, we have Chinyere. Okay, so Emmanuel, do you want to go, or should I give Chinyere the opportunity to? Okay, Chinyere, you can go on.
Okay. I want to say that Agile is a mindset of solving complex problems in an iterative and incremental manner. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so Vivian, Chinyere, you can put your hands down. Emmanuel, since we're not hearing from you, we will just go ahead. Okay, so you've all made an important point of what Agile is all about. Is a mindset. Okay, it's a method, but it goes beyond being a method. So we don't want to just to see it as, oh, this is a method in which I can do this. It's gone beyond a method, and it has become a mindset, and that's why almost all other methods are transitioning. All the companies using other methods, traditional methods, are transitioning to using Agile. Agile, when it comes to traditional, when you're talking about waterfall, that is in a situation where you have to do everything. It's done in stages. So when it comes to waterfall, you have a situation where, let's start from maybe the business analyst. The business analyst writes all the stories for the project. And then when they are done, they submit it, they get a sign off, they pay their money, and they're gone. Okay, and then the developer comes in. That's the second stage. We'll start working on it, develop the whole features and functionality that is needed for that project. Is done, gets paid, gone. And then the tester comes in, does what he needs to do, and when that one is done also, it's gone. Okay, so let's assume now the developer has developed, the tester comes in to test and start finding some faults. Okay, then that takes the organization back to getting either the developer back, which is another, they don't have to negotiate another contract before, because the first contract they negotiated in order for him to do what he needed to do. Remember, he has finished it. They've signed it off that, okay, fine, everything is okay, everything is fine, and it's gone. And then the tester comes in to test and then find some faults and everything like that and all that. And then they had to get the developer to come back in order to, you didn't do this well and everything. Well, I showed you, you signed it off, you approved it. You can't come back now and tell me I didn't do it, right? You should have checked while I was still on ground when I gave it to you to review before, you signed it off, telling me it's okay and all that. So it goes about negotiation. So there is a lot of effort into it. There's a lot of money wasted into it. There are times even when the project had to be cancelled, or because of one fault or the other, or because of something new that they are finding out, or because by the time the end user or the stakeholder gets hold of that thing and they review it themselves, they realize, oh, this is not what we said we wanted. I said I want a chair with 4 legs and 2 arms flying. You've built a chair with 3 legs and 1 arm flying. I'm not able to use, I'm not going to take that and everything. So that is the waterfall way of doing things. They don't go back to inspect and adapt. It's not in a process, a circular process format like Agile. Is in a waterfall. You know how a waterfall is. The waterfall doesn't go back up, is it? It doesn't. It just falls. It just falls. The water just keeps falling and everything. So it doesn't. They are not able to go back to meet the previous person, except if they form, like I said, negotiate another contract with that person in order for the person to come back and do what they needed to do. So it's not as if waterfall is totally wrong. Don't get me wrong. It just doesn't suit some kind of project. It suits a project that has a definite requirement, a definite requirement in place. Like when you have construction, you're building a bridge and all that. That those kind of projects suits waterfall very well. But projects like software development doesn't suit waterfall, because you are working with complexity, you're working with uncertainty. So you can't be definite to say, oh, this is the way it's going to work, because things keeps changing, when it comes to software. The new things are coming up. So you need to inspect, adapt, work with what is coming on, work with changes, and that is what Agile is all about. Agile is about agility. How fast can you adapt? How fast can you respond to change? And how fast we can do that is when we carry out an incremental addition, an incremental value to the project. We've built this now, we've put it down. We'll be going to the next sprint, to build another thing and then integrate it to what we've built before. And then we keep improving and improving and improving like that. And that keeps adding value and value, making what you're building, getting better and better as you go along. Okay, that is what Agile is. And that's why I said it moves from being a method. It goes into a mindset, because of the agility involved, because of the change that can come at any time. You can't be rigid. So method is kind of a bit rigid, not flexible. And that's why we don't want to see it as a method. We want to see it as a mindset, because in a mindset, you're creative. A mindset is ready to respond to change very fast. A mindset is ready to collaborate. These changes has come. What do we need to do? Look at the things and everything and work. You're still working within the process, because the process is guiding you. But you're being creative with the process, and that is why you continuously improve. as you go along. Your daily stand-up is an improvement meeting. Like we said, when you started on Monday, the way you're doing it is much, much better. You've seen some loopholes and everything. You're improving on that as you go along. And when you're doing that right now in your sprint 0, by the time you get into your sprint 1, where you're actually doing your daily stand-up on task, you'll be getting better as you go along. So that is Agile for you. Okay, and that's why it's suited, like I said, to software. So we know what Agile means now. We know what a team means now. Okay, so now let's now go into with the knowledge we have now. Let somebody now define what an Agile team is. Okay, anyone wants to do that? I thought the answer will be shutting up right now.
I will try.
Okay, go ahead, Chair.
Okay, I want to say that Agile team, there are a group of individuals with different skills, cross-functional team working towards a particular goal in an iterative and incremental manner.
Thank you so much. You said, you put everything together. It's a team of expertise, cross-functional team. Okay, they come together for a particular goal. Remember, they have to have a goal on what they're doing, and then they are working incrementally in order to add value to that goal and achieve it within a timeline. And incremental is the same thing as your iteration. We're working, there's a big thing we need to do. We can't target it once and do it once. So we start doing it little by little, integrating every time we've done something to make the whole, until we're able to, finish what we need to do at the timeline. So we inspect, we adapt, and we move on. We inspect, we adapt what we've seen, and we move on. Okay, and also one big difference I want to quickly say and want us to note between the waterfall and Agile is when the teams are working in Agile, they collaborate with the user. Okay, so they don't just build based on the user's requirements, because we want to believe that there are times when the way the requirement has been, the BAs are doing a good job, don't get me wrong. They elicit the requirement, they provide solution to the business. They've checked with them. They said, oh yeah, it's fine. This is what we want. Let's go ahead with that. Okay. But Agile gives an opportunity for the team building and the user of that to be able to collaborate together. And when they collaborate together, they're able to review what is being done. Yeah. And then decide, yeah, this is what we said, but it's not looking at that. Can we have it this way? They inspect it, they adapt. So they're able to come together to inspect and adapt. And at the end of the day, the user is satisfied with the expectation. They have an expectation, and the expectation is met because they have been collaborating with the team, and then they are satisfied with the end product. That is different from waterfall. In waterfall, there is no collaboration between the user and the team that is building, the project team. So the user says, this is what we want. They stay and then wait for 6 months, 1 year to get that thing. And that's why by the end of the time, when they get that thing and it doesn't meet their expectation, the project is cancelled. The money is wasted. Efforts are wasted. The time that has been put into it, everything is wasted. Okay, so that's why Agile is a big improvement on waterfall. I just thought I should quickly bring that in. But you will see all those in the Agile principles and the Agile values, which I would want you to go and read on about so that you have a better understanding, okay, of what we're saying. Okay, so we've been able to describe we'll be able to share our understanding on what a team is in simple terms. We've been able to share our understanding on, have an understanding now on what Agile is and what waterfall is and the difference between the two. We're not saying waterfall is total trash, it's not, because there are some professions that are using waterfall very well. Like I said, where you have a definite and a defined a requirement and environment, you're able to use it. Construction uses waterfall very well. I know they're combining it with Agile now, but it's good for that project. It suits that project and it's fine. Okay, but there are some projects that waterfall is not suited for, and one of it is software. development life cycle because of the uncertainties and technicalities and complexities that are involved in it. You need to keep, like I said, improving and inspecting and improving and adjusting as you go ahead. Okay, so who can tell us the roles or the expertise? Like Chinwe said, there are a group of expertise and all that. So who are the people that constitute an agile team? Yeah, Daniel?
Okay, so an agile team is consisted of the Scrum Master, the product owner, and developers. And however, stakeholders are also there because they also needed to make sure that, to keep the team in check. So the product owner, the Scrum Master, the developers, and the stakeholder.
Okay, anyone else? Thank you so much, Daniel, for that. Chinwe.
An agile team consists of Scrum Master, product owner, and the developers.
Okay. All right. I thought I saw somebody else's hand. Okay, so that's fine. Thank you so much for that. Okay. Thank you, Daniel, also. Okay, so one distinction I just want to make, Daniel, from what you said is when you talk about the agile team or the Scrum team, yeah. You're talking about, okay, let me pick the Scrum team because we're dealing with we're using Scrum and all that, but agile really. Wait, okay, Uche, do you want to quickly say something before I go ahead?
Yeah, I've just got a quick question. I wanted to say that the Scrum team or the Agile team are two separate teams, right?
Yes.
Okay, just to check.
Yes. That was the distinction I was going to bring in. Okay. So with the Scrum team, you have the people carrying out the Scrum process itself. Okay, so in the Scrum team, you have your PO, you have your Scrum Master, you have your developers. Your developers consisting of the software developer itself, the tester, and the BA. They're all seen as developers. That's from the Scrum Guide. Okay. Previously, they were separated, but Scrum Guide is saying they're all developers, but the people that constitute the developer is the BA, the business analyst, the software developer, and the software tester. They're the ones that constitute that. Now, the Scrum team works with the Agile team. The Agile team, which you can call the project team. So you have your project team constitutes of your stakeholders and the development team, if I can put it that way. So your Scrum team is a development team. They are the ones that are carrying out the development part of that project. Okay. Your stakeholders are there. They constitute the project team. You have the marketers, your stakeholders constitute of the client that you're building for, constitute of your designer. If you have somebody designing, what goes on the website for you. If it's not the BA doing it, if you have, that's the one they call either the UI or the UX designer, if you have that. So you have that in there. And then you have other teams that are working with that project. You might have a marketing team in place. You might have the financial team, the project sponsor, the project sponsor. If you're working with accountants, if that project has to do with maybe financial, you have the subject matter experts. So let's assume there is a project you're doing and that has to do with example NHS and all that, and you're building a website for them and all that. The subject matter experts would be the people that are actually using it. The nurses that might need to use it, they would give you feedback, okay, on what that website, what they needed on that website. You might need a data analyst can also be a subject matter expert because they know about data and everything. They know what you need to do, what the regulation is saying about data. They're able to give you that. You might be working with the GDPR person of that particular client organization who will be able to come in to say, okay, so this thing that you have developed and all that, we can't have it like this because it's against the GDPR law and things like that. So that those are subject matter experts that are able to give you information based on policies, based on compliances, based on regulations and all that. So all those are part of the team. They're all the project team. Okay, depending on what they're using. So if the method they're using is waterfall, you say those are the waterfall project team. If they're using Agile, you say that's the Agile project team. But the Scrum team itself is the development team. They are the ones that actually go out, use all the information that has been provided by all the other units of the team in order to develop what needs to be done. Okay, so that's the difference between the Agile project team and the Scrum team. Okay, so your stakeholders really won't participate in your sprint planning. Your stakeholders won't participate in your daily stand-up. In some cases, you might have them come in there, but they can come and observe. They are not meant to give updates. Stakeholders like the project sponsor, people working in that organization, in the client organization that comes in, or other units in your own organization can come in and maybe not observe really, just to get updates and everything based on one thing or the other, but they are not meant to participate. And then when I was talking about the daily stand-up the other day, that was what I was using, actively participating, when I was talking. Okay, so they're not supposed to be there. Now in the review meeting, you would have the stakeholders there. That's where they collaborate with the development team, because they need to review what has been done during that sprint. Yeah. Okay. So they come in during that time. They're able to look at things together and everything. And then when you have your retro meeting, that's down to just the team members alone, just the Scrum team alone. No other unit or team of that project comes into that meeting. So your Scrum team is the development team that is using Scrum process in order to be able to implement what needs to be done on that project and add value incrementally to that project. Okay, so now that we're able to give a clarity on that aspect, let's start with the Scrum Master, because we're Scrum Master, so we start with our own role. Okay, with a show of hands again, who can tell us the responsibility? What exactly does the Scrum Master do in a Scrum team? Anyone? I was expecting hands would just be shutting up. Hi, Vivian.
Hi, the Scrum Master is charged with the responsibility of facilitating the daily stand-up. Also the review meeting, the ceremonies, particularly. They also coach members of the team. They also have the responsibility of being a servant leader.
Okay,
And,
let me stop you there. Okay, so when you say the facilitate, I want you to go a bit in depth, explain what the facilitate means. Okay, so you're not just making mention of the task, you're saying a bit.
Yeah, for instance, a typical example is like probably sending emails around to remind people when the meeting is coming up, to remind people about the, for a typical example, daily stand-up meeting, ensuring that the meeting is held in the same room at the same time, and that the time box nature of the meeting, the ceremonies are actually adhered to, and supporting the team and the organization as well.
Okay. Anything else? All right, let's get somebody else. Thank you so much, Vivian, for that.
Okay.
All right. Ade, if you go next. Vivian, you can lower your hand so that I don't think you have a question. Thanks.
My belief is a facilitator is we're facilitators and coaches, mentors, teachers, and we ensure that the Scrum teams follow the processes that were agreed to be followed. Scrum Masters are meant to remove the obstacles and distractions that may impede the team from reaching goals.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
And sorry about the noise at the background. Yeah, sorry about the noise. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. I know there's another hand that is up. Chinyere.
Okay, a Scrum Master, I will say, is the master of the Scrum framework. He guides the team, coaches them, mentors them, and causes the removal of impediments. Yeah, he helps the team to be cross-functional and self-managing. So a Scrum Master is more of a guide and a true leader for the team. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that. And then Delphine, quickly, so that
Okay, I will just add one thing in summary, that the Scrum Master is more of a change agent for the team and for the organization, for them to implement Scrum in reality, and by creating an agile environment where they can work with this flexibility and agile mindset.
okay. All right, thank you so much for that, everyone. Daniel, do you have anything to add, or is from previously?
Yeah. So basically, a Scrum Master is a servant leader. He ensures that whatever the project's being done is being carried out according to the Scrum framework, and that everybody is up to par when it comes to their responsibilities, and also helps the team to remove whatever impediment or roadblock that might be disturbing them from achieving what they have to do.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. So at least I know everyone here is a Scrum Master, because at least for everyone that I've spoken, you actually know what the Scrum Master does. Okay, so the only aspect I'm going to add to it, Delphine, do you still want to say something, or was it from previous?
Oh, no, sorry, I put my hand down.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So I don't want you just to say that the roles of the Scrum Master start and end with just the Scrum team. Okay, they coach the Scrum team, they also coach the organization itself. So you might have an organization that is transitioning from the traditional method to Agile. Okay, so you're not just going to coach your team alone. You also want to create awareness of that mindset in the organization also. So you'll be coaching other team in the organization. You'll be coaching the stakeholders in the organization. You'll also be coaching the stakeholders who are the clients that you're working with, because they might bring in requirements that are not, how will I put it, that cannot be actualized. And they are saying, oh, you just need to do it and all that. You would be able to coach them. You will be able to bring enlightenment to them. You'll be able to educate them, by giving them, because stakeholders most times, they don't want to hear, oh, it can't be done. It's not in their dictionary. So for you to be able to coach them, for you to be able to coach them in the agile way, you need to give them specifics. You need to most times show them visuals to say, okay, this is what you want within this timeline. This is what we're working. This is the suited framework or approach for us to do this. And if we have to do it this way with what you're doing, this is what you would get. I'll give you an example. You have an example of a stakeholder who is coming, changing requirements all the time, and everything. And then you're telling them, okay, so this process we're using, we want to incrementally add to your project. You want early feedback from your users. You want to build a website and you keep coming and changing the requirements. You don't mind the timeline expanding because you feel you have the money to do it. Okay, so as a team, you won't just feel, oh, well, they can keep extending the time. After all, we're getting the money, we're getting our money, not as much as they're paying us. No, that's not why you use that process, especially use the Scrum Master. So you're able to show them that, okay, so your user, you've built something already. Your user have not tested it and give you a review. And then you're putting more creativity on. The more creativity you're putting on really is not down to you if you are a business, because it might really, your user might not really be interested in all those things you're adding onto it. Let your user review it and then let them come back. And then you can now update or upgrade based, enhance your product more based on the review, based on the feedback that you've received from your user. So you're able to give the stakeholder that kind of advice. That is you coaching them in the process that is being used, in the process of Agile that is being used, the process of early return to the user, getting the feedback and improving on the feedback. So you coach the stakeholders, you coach the organization you're working with, and then you coach your team. And you keep improving. You keep improving as things evolve. You keep improving as you go ahead. Okay, so don't see the Scrum Master just working just with the team alone. Yes, your team is your main concern. But for your team to be able to work very well without distraction, then you need to be able to coach the organization, or else there would be distractions. There will be disruptions within your team because they don't understand the process you're working with. And that is why we coach them. Okay. All right. Let's go quickly to the role of the product owner. What do you think the responsibility of the product owner is? Anyone? Okay, I'll take Martha first. All right, so if you want to answer, just do it with a show of hands, please. Yeah.
Okay, the product owner is the one who is responsible for maximizing values that is supposed to be delivered by the team. Again, he kind of like is the one to say that this will go with this information or not, accepts or rejects work, is the one that helps to define what is supposed to be done or what is done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martha, for that. Uche?
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry, I was talking to myself there. Hello? Hello?
We can hear you now, Uche.
Oh, right, so the product owner is predominantly accountable for the management of the product backlog. So they are the ones that do the backlog refinements to ensure that obviously the PBIs are transparent, visible and understood. Yeah, pretty much, and developing and communicating the product goal basically to the Scrum team, I believe.
Okay, thanks, Uche. Ade?
Yeah, I just want to add to it that the product owner is always visible and transparent, and he always has an authority on the. He has authority over everything that happens in the. Sorry, help me out. Everything happens within a sprint, if I'm correct.
In relation
to a backlog, he has authority and always visible and transparent. And I think I read that he's the only one that could remove a backlog or something like that. Sorry about that.
Thank you so much, Ade, for that. Delphine?
In addition, the product owner is more of a bridge or link between the stakeholders and the Scrum team. They also manage the product vision and the business value of the product.
All right, thank you so much, Delphine. I want to believe that everyone. Okay, yeah, so we've all been able to touch on what the product owner does. Okay, is the voice of the stakeholder, is the voice of the user, and then is the intermediary between the users and between the user and the development team. So everything the development team needs to know, the stakeholder brings it. And like you said, the stakeholder, the product backlog belongs to the team, but the stakeholder the product owner has some right over the backlog. It's the only one that can remove a story from the backlog, is the only one that can decide that a story has become obsolete, maybe due to change that has come in, and remove that story. But he doesn't do that without carrying the team along. Remember, he or she is the member of the Scrum team. So whatsoever he does, there has to be transparency within the team to say, okay, so this story has to go and all that. So the product backlog, the product owner does that. So there's a collaboration between the product owner and the Scrum Master. Who knows what that collaboration is? There's a relationship between the product owner and the Scrum Master. Anyone? Martha, do you have your hands up for that already? Delphine, Vivian? Delphine.
I want to try. Okay.
Okay, all right, give it a try.
The relationship between the product owner and because it's the Scrum Master that gives the voice to the product owners. It gives voice to the intentions of the product owner, kind of.
Who wants to help Martha out?
I can try
Say that the product owner and the Scrum Master are engaged in even the other things, the refinement of the product backlog.
No. The whole team is the one that collaborates regarding the refinement. Yeah. Delphine, you want to give it a try?
Yes. The Scrum Master works in close collaboration with the product owner when it comes to prioritizing the backlog items, and also help the product owner to, if the product owner does not have enough knowledge about prioritizing techniques, we also help or coaches him to do the prioritization in relation to the business value of stakeholders.
Okay. Anybody else wants to put a cap on it, kind of put the icing on it? Okay, so you see, there are times when you said something very important about the Scrum Master. You said he's the one that guides the team with the process. So there are times when your product owner is not agile enlightened, okay, and as a result, they do things the way they want. They just want to satisfy the stakeholder. They're coming, this is what the stakeholder wants, we want to do it and all that. That's where you coach. Another relationship you have is to coach your product owner in the agile process to say, okay, so we understand that is what they want. This needs to go in, and then you're able to look at things. Let me give an example of that. So a stakeholder goes to the product owner and says, oh, you need to take this requirement. This story has to go in, by the end of this sprint, they need to do it. And the product owner is coming and telling the team during the sprint to say, oh, we need to take this in and everything like that. The stakeholder wants it to go in so that we work on it and everything. And then you're able to, when you talk about that prioritization, you said it assists the product owner with the prioritization. You're looking at it to say, does this story we're taking in, does it add value during the sprint to that product? Does it take priority over every other thing that we've committed into the sprint? Because the product owner might not look at that, when they take that story and they're bringing it. And then when you look at it and you're looking at, okay, if it takes priority over things that needs to be done, over all the other stories that you've committed at the start of sprint, that's fine. And then the next thing you want to do is to help the product owner and the team, because you're protecting, you're shielding the team so that they don't get disrupted while the sprint has started, to negotiate, to say, okay, if we take this story in, because we don't have the capacity, our capacity is full already with what we've committed to at the start of sprint. Okay, so if we take this story in, you negotiate. Is there any other story with equal weight that we want to bring out in order for us to accommodate this story that you want us to commit to into the sprint? The product owner might not understand that. So that is you coaching the product owner in the process that they can work, in the Scrum process and the Agile process that they can work. So you coach them in the process so that they understand. You help them to look at, to focus on priority and value when they are bringing new stories in. You, the BA and the product owner can also jump, on the backlog in order to tidy up the backlog, manage the product backlog. You're looking at it, you say, there's a lot of stories here and everything. Which one are still relevant to this project? Which one has become obsolete? And then the three of you will be able to look at it and remove some of the stories you feel have become obsolete. We don't need this anymore because of this change that we brought in. This is no longer necessary. And to reduce that so that the remaining items in the product backlog are being rearranged properly, prioritized properly. So you support the product backlog, the product owner also, to be able to manage and prioritize the product backlog very well. So that's not, I think that was when somebody said the Scrum Master helps with refinement. Okay, so what you help the product owner is to manage the product backlog. So that thing that you've done is not refinement. After that you've done with the product owner and maybe the BA, there will still be refinement meeting done, because you still need the expert knowledge of the developer. You still need the expert knowledge of the tester in order to refine that backlog properly, in order to also have shared understanding within the team and carry everybody along. Okay, so thank you so much for that. All right, let's quickly go to the developer. Let's quickly go to the developer and the tester so that we leave the team roles and then we're able to jump onto capacity planning. Anyone wants to tell us what the role of the developer, what does the developer do in the Scrum team? Anyone? Uche?
Oh, yes. So my understanding is that the developers are the people within the Scrum team that sort of create like a usable increment in every sprint.
Okay. Thanks, Uche, for that. Ade?
I believe the developer is just a specialist, but they're always adaptable. They specialize in
when
writing.
You say adaptable. Go on.
Specialize in writing codes, but they're always hands-on. They can fill in for stand-up. I'm guessing for daily stand-up. They speak to the product owner if required. They communicate a lot with the product owner when or if required. I hope I'm on the right line.
Don't worry, you are. You did mention some of quite important thing about the role of a developer. Martha.
Thank you.
Okay, the developers are members of the team that bring value to the backlog items, or they bring increments of value to the backlog items, something like that.
Okay, thanks. So can I ask you which of the backlogs? We have 2 backlogs. So which one do they bring value to?
Product backlog.
Okay, so every team member brings value to that product backlog. The BA writes the stories. The PO also brings the requirements. So everybody puts value to the product backlog. Yeah. So the whole team puts value to both the product backlog and the sprint backlog, because they all work on all those stories. One way or the other, they contribute to it. All right. Well done, Martha.
Thank you.
The developers are responsible for achieving goal, and they have the authority to make decisions on who does what.
Okay. Who does what in what sense? Do they make a decision of what the tester does?
No.
Okay, so refine it properly.
Okay, they make the decision on who does what among themselves as developers.
Okay. I'll take it a bit.
Can I come in, please?
Okay. I don't want to nail it on the head. I'm feeling somebody else can.
Can I?
Yeah.
I think
Adi, give it a go.
let me give it a go. A sprint backlog is always planned by a developer. Is that correct? The sprint backlog is planned by the developer.
No. The
No?
sprint
Oh my
backlog
God.
is planned by the whole team. Remember your sprint planning. Is everybody that is there now?
Okay, so let me.
It's a teamwork.
I'll withdraw that. Can you stop the recording and do it again? Yeah.
Okay, so Vivian.
The development team, they're cross-functional, in which case they're able to manage their own, they're self-organizing, in which case they're able to manage their own productivity. And another falls between responsibility and their characteristics. They're also cross-functional, in which case they have all the skills and the capacity to deliver value.
I'm not hearing specifically what they do. You're
Well, they
talking.
manage their own productivity, isn't it? That I don't.
Yeah, but that's generic. All of them manage their own productivity. But
No, the
what
right
do
code.
Which
they
is
do?
why they're self-organizing.
I said the right code.
Okay, yeah, the right codes, yes.
Oh, you want more?
They develop the product backlog.
Sorry, what did you say?
They develop the product backlog.
Can I jump in quickly?
Uche, yes, go ahead.
Would we say that the developers are the ones responsible for estimation of the product backlog items?
The whole team is responsible for the estimation.
Okay.
So they it's part of their role, okay, but they are not the main one. So they estimate. It's part of their role to estimate, okay. Yeah, it's part of their role to develop the sprint backlog, but they're not the only one, the main one. That is not, it's not as if it's just down to them. The whole team collaborates together to develop the sprint backlog. So it's part of their role, but it's not as if, you see, that's what you're saying the right things, but you're making it as if, that's what they do.
They work to achieve the sprint goal.
They collaborate with the team to develop that, yes.
Yeah,
but there's one thing they do.
They work to achieve the quality of the definition of done.
They all do that.
Can I come in?
Designing, they're involved in the designing and building in projects.
That is it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the tester doesn't build. The tester doesn't create the deliverables.
The development.
It's the developer that does that. So when I'm talking about developer here, I'm talking about the software developer, not the generic name that is given to both the BAs, the software developer, and the software tester. It's just the software developer. So they are the only ones that create the deliverables. They are the ones that build the requirements. The tester doesn't build, it tests. The BA doesn't build, it writes the requirements. And the product owner brings the requirements from the stakeholders, but they are the ones that actually build, the requirement. But there are other collaborative roles that they carry out along with other team members. Like you said, estimate, they commit to it, they understand the story, they collaborate to develop the sprint backlog. But the main one that is, to their own expertise is that creating the deliverables, creating the features, creating the developing the requirements that the stakeholders want. Okay, so Vivian and Ade, I know your hands are up. Are there questions or just you've not put your hands down? And then another collaborative one they do, which they've all been telling you since you've been doing your daily stand-up. Who can quickly say that? Is another thing they do that every other members of the team do, and that we've been getting that from the daily stand-up. What else? During the daily stand-up you've been having, there's something that all your team members have been talking about has been constant.
Impediment?
Yes, they report impediment also. So they're not the only ones that do, all the other team members, but it's part of their role to report impediment. While they're working, if there's any impediment, it's part of their role to report the impediment. Okay, so let's go to the, I think I jumped the BA, did I?
No, you have not talked about it.
We've not talked about the business analyst, have we?
Yeah, we haven't.
No, okay, so let's quickly talk about the business analyst before we go to the software tester. Quickly. And before we go into that, quickly, another thing that the software developer does is they fix bugs. So the tester raises bugs, and then they fix the bugs. They carry out fixing of those bugs. And I've explained yesterday, bugs are defects that are found. So they developed something, the tester is testing, they found the defect on it and everything. They send it back to the developer. So it's the developer's job to fix it, to resolve that, to resolve the bug. Okay, so quickly let's go to the BA, the business analyst, and then we take the tester, and then we go into the next topic for tonight. Thank you. Anyone wants to talk about the BA's role quickly? Do we have anyone quickly? What does the BA do in a team? What does your BA do? Because you have to have an understanding of what all your team members do as a Scrum Master. Daniel, yes?
Yeah, BA, I think they research the product requirements, they write user stories, and they are more in charge of making sure that all the requirements necessary to for that project to be complete, they collaborate with the product owner, to write the definition of done and all the necessary requirements, basically, I think.
Okay, thank you so much, Daniel, for that. Martha?
Okay, in a short thing I know about the BA is that they write the business stories for the product owner. And in case there is, they always, in case there are impediments, they come back again to write more stories.
Okay. Anyone else? Thanks, Martha. Anyone else? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. Yes.
Okay, the BAs, they understand the needs of the stakeholders and try to translate them into requirements.
Okay. So yes. So your BAs understand the requirements of the stakeholder. So they are actually the main role is to provide solution. So the business has a need that needs to be met. Okay, and what your business analyst does is to analyze that need. This is the need that these people have. They analyze it and then they are able to provide solution. And the solution they prefer is the requirements that they write, which they would get the stakeholder to look at. And then once that has been approved, they start writing the story. So they get the requirements to say that, okay, for this solution, for this need that your organization needs. Let's give an example of, okay, so an organization needs, they need to build, let me say, a play area. I'm just giving an example now. A play area for children. Your business analyst needs to be able to analyze that need. What is the objective of the organization? What is the goal? What is the timeline you have in place for this? What are the things that can be put in place? You're trying to build a play area for the children. Do we need a 5-story building to build a playground for children? They look at the health and safety side of things, the risks involved, dependencies involved, and they put all that in place in order to provide what is it called, a requirement for the stakeholder, for that client, to say, I think this that I've put together will be able to, provide a solution to what your business goal is, to what your business objective is, and add value really to your business at the long run. Okay, so that's part of what the business analyst does. And when they provide that requirement for the business, they are able to make user stories out of those requirements for the development team to work on. They provide clarity, not just for the Scrum team alone, but even for the stakeholders themselves. Because if they profile a solution, they have to profile it in such a way that it gives understanding to the stakeholders that are profiling it to, and it gives clarity to the stakeholder, gives clarity also to the development team. They offer more information. You've brought the story that the team is working on, and while they're, maybe at the point of implementing the development, the developer finds something, and saying, okay, so this part is not clear and everything. If it's not clear to them also, they go back to the stakeholders to say, okay, so this part of things and everything, how does it go along? How does it align with the objective? How does it add value to your business? They're able to look at it together, and then they prefer further solution and bring that information to the stakeholders and also to the team. They get sign-offs on requirements. So you don't just write the requirements and then feel, oh, I've written it and everything, and you go ahead. The stakeholders has to review whatever requirements you've written for their business, get a sign-off from them through the product owner. Okay, I said the product owner is the intermediary between the stakeholders and the development team. So there are times when some BAs do have meetings or do meet with the stakeholders themselves. When you're eliciting your requirements, you don't elicit it. At times you can elicit it from the product owner, because the product owner has an understanding of what the stakeholders want. But there are times when the stakeholders themselves, the project sponsors, they jump on to give more information about the technicalities of things and all that to the BA. You understand? So they're able to do that, and then they work ahead of sprints. That is one thing you should never forget. They don't work. Okay, so when I say they work ahead of sprint, that doesn't mean when sprint one is going on, they are sitting down waiting to say, oh, when they get to sprint two, that's when I'm going to work. No, that's not what they're doing. But when the developers are working in sprint one, they are actually working to provide the stories that are going to be worked on in sprint two, at times even in sprint three. So that's what I meant by they work ahead of the sprint. Okay, so at times they carry out some tasks during the sprint. Who can tell me the tasks that they carry out during the sprint? I've already made mention of it. What kind of tasks do they carry out during the sprint? Does the BA carry out during the sprint?
Elicitation.
Yeah, they still work ahead of sprint. Remember that the elicitation is for the subsequent sprint, is not for the work that are being done during the sprint. But there are times when they're able to carry out tasks regarding what is being done in that particular sprint. Delphin?
They analyze dependencies and risks.
That would have been done before that particular sprint.
Okay, they actually write requirements.
Sorry?
They write requirements.
Yeah, they've done that already. When you have your sprint one going on. Yes, go on, Martha.
Backlog refinement.
Yes, they participate in the backlog refinement. Okay. And that's an event that goes on during your sprint, and they are part of that backlog refinement. Okay, so they participate in that. And there are times when maybe during the daily stand-up there is need for clarity. They provide clarity also. Like I said earlier on, that maybe a developer is working on a story and they get to an unknown thing and they come back to say, okay, so we understood this thing when you were saying it, but while working on it, I found, there's always an unknown. And that's why we say software development, they have to do it little by little, because you will meet with those complexities and uncertainties. And so when the team needs to collaborate on those uncertainties that are found out, the BA is able to provide more clarity during the sprint. So that is a task they are carrying out to a story that is being worked on during that sprint. Okay, those are the few times the work during the sprint. But their main job, they work ahead of the sprint. So while you're in sprint one, they are working on the story that the team is going to work on in sprint two. They're working on the story that the team is going to work on in sprint three. So once they finish the story for sprint one and it has been approved by the PO, they are asking the PO, what is the goal for sprint two? What are the stories? What are the features they were developing for sprint two? So that they start working on those stories ahead of the team. Or else, if they don't do that, by the time you finish sprint 1 and you're going to sprint 2, there won't be any stories for you to work on, for you to take into sprint 2. That's why they need to work ahead of the sprint. Okay, all right. Can we also call the, oh, sorry, there is a question that I just want to quickly pick so that we don't miss that. Okay, so Victoria said, are there slides to for this following? For this aspect, for the workshop we're doing for the teams, okay, there is no slide. That's why we have it. It's being recorded. So definitely you will pick out the recording. And I was also expecting that there will be people will be jotting 1 or 2 things down. So all those things I'm saying are things that you can research on and you would find. So I'm just giving more explanation, in-depth explanation on them so that you have a better understanding. It's being recorded anyway, so you can play the recording once it's been has been shared with you. But like I said earlier on, we have 3 topics to deal with within the time frame that we have. If we have slides for all of them, it's called a workshop. Okay, so it's really not a training. That's why we're rubbing minds together. You are talking, and then I'm just providing maybe more clarity and further information. Is that clear, Victoria? Okay, and then Chinyere says, can we also call the subject matter expert? Yes, so your subject matter expert are part of your stakeholders. Okay, so the stakeholder is everybody that has a vested interest, in the project, are the stakeholders. So it's not just limited to the people that brought the project, who is the project sponsor. It's not limited to the end users who are going to use that particular product at the end of the day. The subject matter expert also, they have vested interest in that particular project. So your stakeholder is anybody that has a vested interest in the projects that you're working on. You also are stakeholders. The Scrum team is also a stakeholder, because you have a vested interest. You're the development team of the project. So if you're all stakeholders, but you would call them stakeholders because you are the development team. Okay, hope that clarified that aspect. Okay, so quickly let's go to the last team member, who is the tester. So what is the role of the tester? Anyone? Let's quickly go to that, and then we're able to go into who wants to tell us about the tester? The roles of the tester. What does a tester do? Anybody? Do we have show of hands? Okay. Your keywords will be angry with that you can't tell what they do during the sprint.
From the name tester, I believe they are the ones that will ensure that the products meet the requirements of they make sure that the testers are the one that will test to see if the products that is being produced meets the requirement of all the stories that were given by the product owner and the BAs, and to test its functionality. And if there are impediments or there are bugs, they will report it for amendments to be made.
All right, thank you so much. Anyone else? That's full anyway. Okay, so is that Uche or Martha?
Uche.
Sorry, who answered? Sorry, Uche.
Martha.
Was that Martha? Okay, Uche, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah. So my understanding was that testers are the ones that carry out the test on the software or the development of the software or the systems that have been developed by the development team. And they are also the ones that will report any bugs or any, would I say impediments? Not impediments, but they would report any bugs or that they've encountered during the testing process for the development team to fix.
Okay, yes.
Development fix, basically.
All right, you're right. Okay, you're right about that. Daniel?
Yes, so I think basically the testers are there to ensure that the product meets what you call the definition of done. So for instance, you've said a website it has to be in blue color, it has to have logo here, it has to have this, or it has to have a sign-up page and everything. They test every functionality of what has been done in that particular sprint, and then they can say, okay, it's worked perfectly according to what has been done. So they also write test cases. So for instance, the test case that they're going to write for a sign-up page is not the same test case that they will write for a landing page, and it's not the same test case that they will write for an LMS. So they have all those test cases, and then they are able to check, okay, they'll be able to say it has passed this, it has passed this. So, and then they can able to say, okay, it has met the definition of done.
All right, thank you so much. Who is voting that we send? It was Daniel that just spoke, isn't it?
Yes.
How many people want to vote that we sent Daniel to go and be a QA? So well done, well done. All right, Chinyere.
Yeah, Daniel basically has answered it, but I will only add that they make sure that the software meets both functional and non-functional requirements, make sure that the product at the end of the day is usable and is reliable. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so we have a lot of Scrum Masters who are so good QAs also. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Okay, so that's the role. Those are the roles you have in a Scrum team, and those are the responsibilities. So it's not as if the responsibilities are limited to what we've shared. So you will still have a lot of deeper responsibilities that they carry out, okay, which I would want us, to go and research more on. And also by the time the video for Agile team roles are uploaded on Prep Major, you can also watch it. Don't feel, oh, we've done the workshop on it, I don't need to watch it anymore and all that. So always research. It's not limited to what you're getting every now between the 4 and 7. It's down to you researching more in order to get better. Okay. So before we move to the next session, do we have any questions on this session? So that I can stop the recording and then we'll start it again. Any questions on this session? Hi, Emmanuel.
Hi, Moji. One quick question.
Mm-hmm.
In the setup on the Azure DevOps, is it possible to assign roles to, like, say this person's a BA, this person's the SM, just like that? Is it possible?
You will only be able to do that when you go into your capacity, the capacity section of your sprint planning.
All right, that's fine. Sorry to jump the gun then.
No problem. Okay, any other questions?
I have one question, please. For the product owner and the Scrum Master, is it like, okay, the product owner, I learned that also motivates the team and celebrates success. Would there be a kind of could there be a kind of like overlap between the Scrum Master and the product owner? And does the product owner, does he really liaise with the team directly or through the Scrum Master?
Okay, so it's a team, and the product owner, even though is an intermediary between the team and the stakeholders, is still a member of that team. Yeah. Yes. So he's able to relate with them. But in a situation where he gets in contact with any member of the team, there has to be transparency. So it's not something he should do behind, because that brings about disruption. And that's why the Scrum Master comes in, because one of your job as a Scrum Master is to protect your team from interference, external influence and internal interference. So when the product owner does that, that is an internal interference. It's part of the team, okay, and it's interfering. And that's when your role, another of your role, comes into coach. So because he might not understand because he doesn't understand the process. So we've taken 5 stories in to work on. And then the product owner is going to meet maybe 1 or 2 of the developers behind, send them a message. Oh, could you quickly develop this? There's a backend developer. Can you quickly develop this at the backend? And then when that one says, oh, I've done it, and then it comes and picks another front end developer. Can you quickly, pull this into the front end and everything? Now, we've not committed to that thing during the sprint. So they've left what they needed to do during the sprint that they have capacity for in order to be able to take in those extra work. Those are scope increase, but it's not transparent to the whole team. So these are other members of the team thinking, oh, we'll be able to complete the sprint because we have the capacity, we've committed to it. And most times, developers and QAs don't want to say no to the product owner, because the product owner, even though there is no hierarchy in Agile team, according to Scrum Guide, when it comes to practicality, they still see the product owner, do you understand, as the boss.
Yeah.
So they don't want to say no to them, you see. And that's when you come in as the one shielding them to coach the product owner. So you're not going gun blazing to the product owner and saying, how dare you do. You just, trying to let them understand. Okay, so I just want you to understand the concerns that we have. When we met, you said this is the product goal that we need to achieve at the end of the sprint. But I do understand that you've given some extra work for Martha and Victoria to work on, and they've left what they needed to do. Are those that? And that's when you now start coaching them. Are those stories you've given to them to work on? Are the priority over other thing we've committed to? Say, oh, no, they're just little things and everything. I know that you now coach them. If they are not priority, we can actually do them in the next sprint. We can plan for them to be done during the next sprint. They've already been taken in. They've already worked on it. Now they're working on it. It's going to stop them doing every other thing that they need to do during the sprint. Which the work they need to do in subsequent sprints might be dependent on. So there might actually be a disruption on us taking more stories in the next sprint, because some of the things we're supposed to complete the sprint have been left undone because the PO, the product owner, has disrupted things somehow. And that's where you come in. Now, that's for a product. So some product owners do understand how Agile works, but they still want to do what they want to do. Do you understand? They still want to, and they know. And that's why they didn't bring it to everybody. They've taken it to the back to do. But you don't want that to continue, because it forms a bad pattern.
Yes.
And then that's when you talk to them. Like I said, you don't go gun blazing to say, oh, why would you do that and everything. It's just to dialogue with them. Let them understand the impact of what they have done and how it impacts the team working forward or achieving what they've committed into the sprint. Most times they understand. Yeah, and they said, oh, okay, so I understand, we won't be doing that. If Agile allows you to bring work in during the sprint, it's part of the Agile principle, responding to change, even during the sprint, at any time during the sprint. But what they were saying is carry everybody along so that they can collaborate together to know how best to accommodate those changes, those new stories you're bringing in, and still be able to achieve and focus on the goal.
Good.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm just going to stop the recording for this session, and then I'll start another recording again as we go into capacity planning. Thank you so much for every contribution, and for every other person that we've not heard from. We want to hear your voice. So by the time we go to the next session and there are questions, I want to hear your voice. Joy. Who else is there that I've not heard? I know the buddies are here also. Okay, so, but yes, everybody has been wonderful tonight. So well done. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna stop this recording.